Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I'm your host, the Incredible Sulk. And if you guys think I'm hungover, I'm not. I have that power. I can teach you that. I have the ability to respawn and heal my wounds miraculously. It's Wolverine-esque, but they got the idea from me. But they had to make it Canadian. I have no idea why. To make it gay? I assume. I know what you're thinking. They made Wolverine way before I was born. Are you sure you know exactly when I was born? Are you sure? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys had a fantastic day. A good day? A so-so day? It doesn't matter. You're here now. So relax, unwind. Be the best person you can be. Because I'm watching you. Constantly. You only wipe your ass twice. And that's concerning. You need to up those numbers. Anyways, tonight we're watching Mayo Riot. It gave me $50 on Friday. I think it was Friday. To play a video, and so I shall do that. $50 is a good amount of money to do that. That is the right amount of money to do that. If you want me to do that, do that. It's about moon bases and such. And it is a talk. It is a long talk. It's about 2 hours long. But it is interesting. And I will guide you through this presentation and try to bump up a little bit of the less upbeat parts of it, but it is a very interesting talk, and it took place in the 90s, and there were some predictions made that can be construed to be incorrect or correct. It's a little bit, well, it is what it is, but it's very interesting, and yeah, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch the whole damn thing. No, probably not. We'll get as far as we can, which, at the rate I go, is usually only 10 minutes. But you know what? I'm going to have to start putting the links to these in my description. Just so people know. If they want to go back and watch it, then they can. I'm sorry, I'll try. I'll try to do that. I'll put the link to this one up right now. Because I'm thinking about it, but I won't always do that. I forget. On purpose, though. Because remember, I have like abilities and shit. So, it's pretty impressive, right? I look at myself every day in the mirror. I'm like, damn, you're really holding it together. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being on my St. Patrick's Day show. If you saw that, and that was fun for me. It was the occasion. Anyways, get comfy. Get cozy. Get some moon boots on, right? Make sure the underground military bases do not hear what's coming out of my mouth, right? So, I don't know, put some blankets on the floor. Shove some towels under the door. I don't know. Be real sneaky. Be real sneaky and then sit on your computer so your family thinks you're doing something that you're not. You're just listening to me. You're not watching porn. You're just listening to this wacko on the internet, which is totally fine. Totally fine. Grab a bottle of something nice or water, whatever you want to do. Anyways, guys, it's a Tuesday. I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream. And this is called Secrets of the Moon and Mars. Enjoy. Already scratchy. My voice.
Thank you. I don't need that.
All right. This is not a typical documentary.
Thank you, everybody. I want to...
Not typically what I do, but again, $50. $50 is $50, so I'm going to be playing it.
I want to thank Global Sciences for inviting me here.
There we go.
Dean, I want to thank all of you for coming.
Ardenshire. Me. David. Background noise. Strawberry. Me again. Amateur.
I'm aware. it everywhere.
Amateur.
And I want to thank my wife, because if it wasn't for her, I would not be speaking any longer. Oh, I want to just give you a brief background on how this all started for me.
Look at this style.
I grew up, for the most part, in Elk Grove Village, Illinois, and my grandparents had a cabin up in Woodstock, Michigan, which is in northern Michigan.
We're going to the backstory.
And, we were up there in August of 1964, and I experienced missing time. We had gone out to play into the fields, and I lay down in the tall grass, and I can remember throwing chestnuts out of the way to create a place for myself to lay. And when I fell asleep, and when I woke up,
I just spent the last...
it was almost going on 9 o'clock. And I remember getting up and running back to the picnic area where the family was, and there was a police dog, a Michigan State Police car there, and my folks and cousins, because it was...
I'm just lining up other things just in case we want to switch it around. We might. I don't know. It's a... We'll see.
Kind of a family thing because everybody goes back to school. And I got the tar licked out of me.
Background noise says, no, Mom, I'm not whacking it. I'm whacking out. Like a Christian. Like a Christian. I don't even know what that means.
For disappearing.
I don't know. What's whacking out?
And I told them where I had been, and they didn't
Do
believe
you whack things in? I thought the girls... Men whack things out, and then women whack things in. Right? That's how it works. That's how it works.
me, so I took them back to where I was.
I assume.
With the flashlights, and sure enough, there was my body imprint.
I don't know much about women. They're complicated, and it scares me. And like they all a bunch of weird plumbing down there, and I try to ignore it.
And they swore
for the most part.
They had been all through that area looking for
whatever
me.
it does.
It wasn't until age 14
leaking
that
or
I actually
making
understood
sounds
what
or
had
whatever.
happened then.
My thing doesn't do that.
It was in October.
It's got to be so complicated having a vagina. It's got to be so seriously annoying. Which is probably why you have like a specialist. There's no like wiener doctor, is there? I don't think there's a wiener doctor, but there's like vaginologists. I'm going to stick with that term. Vaginologists. And they spend their days just looking at snatch. Looking at what's wrong with this snatch, and they try to figure it out. I think it's like a game or something like that. Not like Guess Who, where they have a bunch of snatches and stuff. Oh, does it have hair? Nope. Nope.
When I woke up, and there were two men looking down at me. And they were human beings, except they have no hair. And their skin...
Arden says, I'm not going to spoil it, but you're going to have a you son of a bitch moment with this guy about 70% in the video. 70% of the video, we're not going to make it to 70%. I'm just going to tell you right now. But I did watch this. I did watch the whole thing. And I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I do watch these, but I watch them on my headphones when I'm doing other things because I don't have the time to listen to... Because when I look for videos, I try to get to a certain amount in the video, but then I have to do that with like 10 other videos. So I'm constantly listening to something in my headphones. So it's like, it's a process. And then Ardenshire knows because I'll like throw random videos and be like, oh wait, no, not that one, this one, because I'm still doing it.
It is light blue, or at least Morine, the very large one.
Background noise says it's a smelly job, but someone has to do it. It doesn't always have to be smelly. You can get the non-smelly clients, right? I mean, as a doctor, don't you have the right to be like, if you're gross, if you weigh this much, I'm not going to be your doctor. You should find a fat doctor. A fat vagina doctor. I like the slimmer ones, right? And like, I don't know if you can... Is there different types? I don't know.
His skin is like...
Do I want to know?
The elderly one, and I'll give you a brief background on them. Has turned white.
I mean, what kind of surprises are in, like... has a vaginologist ever, like, looked in and be like, I had no idea, and there's, like, confetti shooting out of it or something like that? Is that possible? Some sort of weird confetti? Maybe she actually put confetti up there as some sort of practical joke or like a New Year's Eve celebration sort of thing. and then just like, and just shot it out, right? And said, "Happy birthday" or something.
Age, but they are blue skin.
I don't know. I would. There's a very good reason men don't have vaginas, because like I don't know. I'd be jamming stuff up there, and then I'd be like, I wonder if I can make this shoot out. That's a recipe for a UTI. I'm just telling you. That's just a recipe for a UTI. And yeah, I don't want to have to sit down every time I have to pee either. Sometimes I like to. I'm not going to lie. All right. Sometimes I like to sit down when I pee. It's not like, oh, I'm a girl now. No, no, no. Sometimes I just don't like to rush the process. And you know what? I get a minute on my phone. I get a minute on my phone, and you judge me. You go ahead and judge me. Sometimes I like to sit down when I pee. I hear my wife laugh.
Say that they are our cousins, and that we actually have some of their genetics inside of us.
I just heard my wife laugh.
Stop telling people that. Don't tell people that.
I tell people what I want to tell them.
They originally came from Lyra, as all human life did in our galaxy.
Lyra, okay.
Human life does exist in other galaxies as well. And
this guy is Alex Collier, is his name. And this is in 1996. Let's see what else.
There's a lot going on.
No description.
Okay. I was taken out of bed many times. I was given information. I was given physicals. I was given brain scans.
So I guess this guy got like abducted or something like that. I have to know a little bit more about his story. I did watch this. I promise you I watched this, but I also watched like 50 things since then, and things kind of meshed together a little bit. I think he was working in some sort of government lab or something like that, or he got abducted, or let me just think before I start making jokes.
I was shown, they put a little cap on my head and they showed me who I was in past lives and my direct connection to them.
Okay. Whenever people say past lives, they always conjure up past lives. They're always like, oh, I was Cleopatra, or I was Alexander the Great, or I was a king in Europe or something like that. And how is that possible? Every time somebody has a past life, it's something notable. They're a notable person. They're absolutely nobody in this life. That's for damn sure. Nobody in this life. But in the past, they were some great king or some legendary warrior or something like that. No. Wouldn't your past life just be some like dirt farming peasant? 99% of the time? 99% of the time, you'd be a potato farmer. Or something, or a slave, just a straight up slave, like slaving good. You're not Napoleon, and it's rarely Napoleon because people think he's too short, right? It's got to be somebody like dope, Genghis Khan. I would look into that person because Genghis Khan was like a notorious rapist. I mean, like I think he won the Guinness World Record for the amount of rapes. It was a lot of rapes. Like a third of Asia is related to him. That's how rapey. That's pretty rapey.
My connection to the earth.
Impressively rapey, I might say.
And then there were no more contacts after age 14. There was one at 16, but it was a physical. I was not awakened. It wasn't until 1985 that the contacts started again on a regular basis.
How long until he sells everyone timeshares? I don't know. This might be the presentation, right? You go to like a place for a free weekend and then you get caught in the timeshare presentation and then this is it. And he starts talking about aliens and I'd be like, okay, I'm into it. Go ahead. Talk about aliens. Just don't talk about a stupid timeshare. I'm not buying your timeshare. I'm not going to the same place every vacation. That sounds boring and lame. Why would I have a timeshare? I'm not going to go. No, I'll just get a hotel somewhere else. I can do that and pay a lot less. You know?
Now, just to give
it's
you
not
an
mine.
idea of where I was in 1985. I had worked for a few years for the Internal Revenue Service.
You worked for the IRS.
I had been a tax collector, and I was assigned to and I'm ashamed to say it, but I was a good tax collector. And for the lady and the people who are
No shame in that.
talking about the IRS,
I mean, being good at your job, being a tax collector, you suck. But like being good at your job, no shame in that.
just gonna give you this while it's hot and it's fresh. I was assigned to a task force that was supposed to do undercover work for oil company fraud. And our training was to be in Washington, D.C., and while I was there, I used my security pass to get into the National Archives.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, as an IRS agent, he would have access to some information that most people wouldn't have access to. That's totally believable, right? That's a plausible story. Getting into the archives because you're an IRS agent. Go on, sir.
And you're not allowed to really make copies of things when you're in the National Archives unless your security clearances was much higher than what mine was. And I'm going to tell you this as having been with the Internal Revenue Service. The Internal Revenue Service is a Puerto Rican trust.
Yes,
it is a 3-tier trust. I don't know.
I don't know what that means. What does a Puerto Rican trust mean? I have no idea what that means.
What the 3rd tier is, which is the bottom line, but it's Internal Revenue Service, Puerto Rican Trust, Trust number 62, and I can't tell you what the 3rd one is because it wasn't there.
I have that information.
Great.
What does that
People need to
mean?
know. Also, none of the federal income tax laws are actually in the Federal Register, therefore they are not laws. They are codes. You also need to be aware of that. Anyway, I left the Internal Revenue Service and I opened up my own accounting practice. I started helping people with IRS collection problems because that's not something that you can learn going to tax school or going to a university.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to look it up. Purposes of Section 401A of the Internal Revenue Code. If an election is made under ERISA section, ERISA section 1022I2, this section allows the trust to be considered qualified trust, provided plan otherwise requirements. Foreign tax. A Puerto Rico trust is also considered foreign for tax reporting purposes. Puerto Rico is not technically a state. Some sources claim that the Internal Revenue Service is a privately owned Puerto Rican trust. But this is a conspiracy theory and not supported by official sources. The IRS is the agency responsible for enforcing internal revenue laws of the United States. Okay, so a privately owned Puerto Rican, so it's a privately owned, so it's not a government institution at all. It's a privately owned trust, which is who owns the IRS? It's like the Federal Reserve, right? The Federal Reserve is not federal in any way. It's actually owned by people, but we're not allowed to know who owns it. We're not allowed to audit it. I mean, we should be allowed to audit it, but no one's going to, because I think it would be. I mean, it would destroy the economy shortly, but then things would obviously get a lot better because the Federal Reserve is the reason why our money isn't. It's why we're in so much debt, right? We borrow from the Federal Reserve, and we have to pay back every dollar in circulation in the United States or the world. So how do you pay back something? There's not enough money, right? We owe the Federal Reserve more money than is in existence. So how exactly does that work? They just conjure out of thin air. So a private group of individuals, a trust probably, has the power to put us in debt for no reason, with no actual ability, with no money. They can just say we're in debt and then send over a digital number, not even really do anything. I'm not even sure why they need a building, honestly. Say we're in debt, and then that's it. We owe them. We owe that specific group of people hundreds of trillions of dollars, most likely. um, yeah, yeah. That's a whole nother can of worms, and I feel like it's been delved into quite a bit with a bunch of different documentaries and stuff like that. I could do one. I feel like it's kind of been done to death, and we know we're getting screwed by it, right? We know we're getting screwed by it, and it does matter who owns it. It really does matter who owns it, and we should have the right to know who owns it, but no, we don't. They just choose to put us in debt, and that's their ability for some reason. It's a very weird system, and it originated, I think, in like Jekyll Island in like 1913, and it's related to the Titanic going down a year prior. It is a deep, deep rabbit hole.
You have to have on-the-job training. Well, I started my practice, took the CPA exam. For 5 years, I had a practice in Beverly Hills. And
Arden Shire says, support the continuing conspiracy theory generation fund. And he listed my links for my PayPal and my Ko-Fi and the store. So please, if you can give in any way, which I know times are tough, then I would certainly appreciate it.
I was living on a 700-acre horse ranch.
I owe
in
the
Malibu
Federal
at the time
Reserve,
the
too.
contact restarted.
Oh,
Now,
not own.
within 2 months of the contact,
You think I would be doing this if I owned it? Fuck no. No, dude. I'd be on the moon with like moon cocaine and moon strippers. Right? Right? I don't even know what that is, but they're aliens. I don't know. They got a lot of arms.
tax restarting, I totally walked away from my tax practice. And I just realized that a lot of it was just BS. And it just wasn't working for me. I had made some major shifts in a very short time. The contacts have been relatively continuous. They're both physical as well as telepathic.
Uh-huh.
And folks, some of this information is going to be enlightening. Some of it's going to really bother you. And I'm sorry to be the one to have to tell you that we have a very serious problem on our hands. Okay? And it is just...
Dude, you're speaking from 1996. I doubt anything you say is going to pose a very serious... Like, anything you say, I'm going to be like, yeah, yep, that happened. We already know all about that, right? We already know how screwed we are. Unless he starts bringing down aliens and shit like that. But even that, everybody knows. I mean, right? Doesn't the government want us to believe in aliens now? Which makes me dubious. Which makes me be like, well, now I don't want to do it. Right? I wanted to before, but now that you said it's like real and it's here, now I'm like, everybody's a double agent. Whenever somebody comes, if somebody from the NSA or the CIA comes into Congress and says stuff like, oh, we have alien bodies and those UFOs are real and stuff like that, you have to already, he is a spy. That is his craft. That is his profession. He changes narratives. He turns things. He deals in information. That is his job. So what is coming out of his mouth might not necessarily be the truth. Yes, he says he's turning against the government, the NSA or something like that. But that might not be entirely true. He might be put forth by the NSA, and they're giving him permission to say this in front of Congress, which is probably much more likely, because otherwise he would be dead. So why do they want us to believe in aliens now? It could be that they are real. It could be that they are real and have been here for a very long time, and they're just trying to like easily, what do I want to say? Disclose, right? They want to easily disclose it so people don't freak out, and that's why they've been putting movies out like Independence Day and Alien and stuff for years, right? Because they're trying to get people used to the idea of people from another planet or whatnot. But then again, it could just be all smoke and mirrors, right? A distraction tactic, something like that. Take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I know most people are, because they're like, oh, aliens are real. Well, I still have a mortgage to pay, so I guess I'll go to work anyway. See, it doesn't change much.
It's not the federal government. It just is not. There is a much bigger scheme going on here. And it involves extraterrestrials who are interested in us as souls. You might refer to the Bible, you might refer to whatever texts or religion you have, but there definitely is a battle of good and evil going on out there, and part of it has to do with us and our solar system because of its location and the minerals that are here. The regressive...
So something very interesting about the minerals on planet Earth. Without plate tectonics, we would not be able to evolve into the society that we have, because with most planets, they don't have like a rotating iron core, which gives us radiation protection, right? But also with that comes plate tectonics, and with plate tectonics, it actually brings denser minerals from deeper inside the ground, like I don't know, tungsten. Things like mercury, heavier metals that would normally deposit deeper in the earth, right? Does that make sense? Plate tectonics actually brings these, like gold, brings these to the surface so they're easily mineable, and then we can use them in our technology. Without plate tectonics, that would not be possible. So, coming here for rare minerals actually makes a lot of sense. We haven't seen another planet with rotating cores. Not that they don't exist. I'm sure they're very common. But we haven't seen any.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that after I show you the moon pictures. Don't give a damn about us.
Hey, despite you're watching Virgie.
Okay, be really clear when I say this.
How's he doing?
We are a natural resource to them. They don't care who you are inside. They don't care.
No shit.
As far as the federal government, we watched the movie Rob Roy the other night, and there was a line in that movie that sums it up perfectly. The government believes truth to be a lie undiscovered. But that's really where it's at. That's really where it's at.
I mean, yeah, they keep secrets from us, and they have been keeping. But see, this is 30 years ago, 29 to be exact. So this is 30 years ago. A lot of the secrets that they were keeping under wraps have come out, and it hasn't been pretty. I feel like we're in an age where a lot of conspiracy theories have been being proved true, which is, it's fun, but it's also scary, but it's fascinating, but it's also like annoying. So that's our life phase. That's what we're doing.
They are so screwed up.
David says, allegedly we have no proof of what's happening below 7 miles. And yeah, so I think the deepest we've gone is about 7 miles. The Kola super deep borehole, which is in Russia, I think they got about 7 miles into the crust, and just abandoned it for whatever reason. They were like, it's more rock. It's just a lot of rock. It's just tons of rock. So yeah, we have no idea what's going on underneath the earth. We have a lot of theories, but that's literally all they are. We don't have the technology to go deeper than 7 miles. I mean, we might, but there's no real point. How thick is the earth's crust? I honestly don't know. But we haven't gotten past it. Yeah, but they say there's underground bases that are like a couple 100 miles beneath the crust of the earth, which would be crazy, which would be absolutely crazy. Because that's a lot of pressure.
That's right.
I don't believe they even really remember what the
this is 30 years ago. This is 1996.
Okay. Now, some of you are familiar with Hoagland.
David says, imagine trying to turn a 7-mile long drill bit. I know, right? I mean, the thing must just snap. I don't know what they made it out of or how they did it in any way. Apparently, it was getting hot.
Information, I think Richard does a good job, but I'm just going to share with you a personal experience that I had with Richard in Los Angeles. I was speaking in Los Angeles. I've spoken along the West Coast quite a bit, in Texas. And there was somebody from Showtime who was doing a private screening in a hotel room of the movie Roswell, the Showtime movie Roswell that they put together. Well, I was invited to go in there. Well, Richard was sitting in the back on a chair. And I'm not reading any more into this. I'm just sharing with you my experience with him one-on-one. I sat down to him and I just looked him straight in the eye, and he didn't have a clue who I was. And I said, Richard, why don't you tell people that the moon is an artificial satellite? And he just looked at me and he says, I'm not ready to.
This has been a theory for a long time. The moon is a very strange object. It shouldn't be there. It just legitimately should not. It's tidally locked, so we always see one side of the moon. But if the moon was created from the Earth, which is one of the theories, then it would have to be spinning just like the Earth is. If it came from like a ring, maybe the Earth had a ring, it would still be spinning. Also, it's huge compared to our planet. It's a very big moon, right? It's almost like a dual planet. And so another thing about the moon is life might not have evolved without it. There's a theory that because tides happen, it made tidal creatures crawl up on land. And so without the moon, we might not have land life. I don't know how true that is. It's just something I have also heard. But there's stories that go back that say there was a time before the moon, like in the long ago, and that the moon arrived here at a certain date a long time ago, and it is indeed hollow, and it's a base of some sort. There's weird things. A lot of the craters on the moon, they're all different sizes, but they don't go deeper than a certain amount, right? You would think a larger crater would create a deeper hole. That's not how it works. No, they're all only this deep. They're only this deep on the entire exterior of the moon. So, is it made of metal? I'm not sure. They apparently hit it with a spacecraft, and it rang like a bell, which is unusual for a planet. Also, given the size of the moon, it weighs considerably less than it should. Much less than it should. It should be like ripping the oceans out because of the size and how heavy it is. So it must not be made of the same stuff as the Earth because, you know, we have like more gravity and stuff. It doesn't have, it's not heavy enough, right? It's not heavy enough. There's also some weird things about its orbit. It's perfectly round, which is also strange. It covers up the sun perfectly, which is a astronomical coincidence. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things about the moon. It should not be there. It should not be there.
All right. That's my personal
David says NASA crashed a probe into the moon and it rang like a bell for 30 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Experience. It's the only one I
Why?
have. I think this information is good. But I'm telling you, from my own experience, he's withholding. And I don't understand why he's withholding.
I can verify that.
Okay? Because you, me, our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren are the ones at stake here. You know, we don't have anywhere else to go. We don't have any place to hide. This planet...
It is not made out of cheese. Despite it says it's made out of cheese. It's not made out of cheese. Can because they would have brought cheese back, right? Have you ever been to a country that was like famous for their cheese and they had a lot of cheese and you didn't bring cheese back? No, of course not. You been to Switzerland and not brought Swiss cheese back? That's not how it works. But if it is a spacecraft and stuff like that, and astronauts did go there, yeah, maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't.
And it is our home.
How do I prove that? I can't prove that.
It's our home. And I'm just trying to help. I only have a piece of the puzzle. I don't have the whole puzzle. I think if I did, I'd be dead long time ago. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to share with you stuff that...
Arden Shara says the various agencies in the world can't even agree on what a million miles away looks like regarding the moon. I've caught them blatantly lying on multiple occasions. They can't agree on what a million miles away looks like? Is the moon a million miles away? I don't know. Yeah. The moon is a very strange thing, and it shouldn't be there. And if one day the moon just kind of like turned around, right, and we saw the dark side of the moon, I would think that's the apocalypse. I would think, all right, now is the apocalypse. Like, it turns around and there's like a giant laser heating up to absolutely destroy us, like Star Wars. Maybe that was a true, or seeds of truth, right? You guys have heard of predictive programming. Maybe the Death Star was... Maybe it's actually a thing. Maybe that's actually... And there's a giant beam on the moon, and it's controlled by aliens, and they will destroy the planet when they see fit. If it gets a little too out of control, perhaps. If I saw the moon turn around, I would be like, we're all going to die. That's exactly what I would think immediately. I'd be like, we're all going to die. Here it is. Saw the dark side of the moon, and I bet it would look weird.
I have been guided to that's on the far side of the moon. I don't deal with the visible side. Because as the right hand...
Knobsock says, welcome to the Bahama John Show. It's not called that. Please donate so we can pay for John's gay conversion therapy. It is costly.
Hand is moving here, the left hand's doing...
Hasn't worked yet.
Doing something else.
They keep trying to make me gay. I don't know why.
Well, the left hand is the far side of the moon. If you remember the movie Apollo 13, if you remember the movie Apollo 13, what? Move over? Oh, it's the lights. Okay.
It's the light. It's our 1996 technology. We haven't figured out how microphones completely work, and everything's dark and low quality. This is 30 years ago. This is a third of a century ago. That's a long ass time. Amazing how much more technology we have, though, but also frightening because we're entering a time of scarcity is not going to be a thing anymore. Scarcity is not a thing now, and I'm actually going to do a whole show on that later. But scarcity will definitely not be a thing in probably 5 years tops. They're going to have robots. They're going to have AI. They're going to be able to invent things that we've never thought of before. It's going to be a very strange world. Will we be around to experience that? I plan on it. I'm going to try, but it's going to be so radically different that you're not going to have a job. You're not going to have a job. Start doing something you like now. I don't understand how we're going to move from this current economic system where we have to work to like pay our bills again to the Fed that doesn't even exist for some reason to survive. We won't have to do that. This is going to disrupt some very serious power structures on the planet, and they're not going to like that at all. And I'm sure they're planning for it. I don't think they're going to be successful in maintaining control. And when that happens, that means they're going to try to kill as many people as possible. This is just a theory. I don't know if it's going to actually happen, but if I were in charge of the world and there was some groundbreaking technology coming down the pipeline that I could not stop, because they've been trying to stop AI. They've been trying, like, the whole OpenAI thing, how they invested a bunch of money into it and then they shut it down, not shut the company down. It used to be open source software. No longer open source. It is closed source now. They tried to shut that down to maintain control over the technology, but then the Chinese came in with like DeepSeek and stuff and then just fucking threw that out the window. So there's no moat in developing a solid AI platform anymore. A lot of people are doing it like in their garages, very small teams around the world. So this is happening. This is going to happen. A lot of people say it's like flatlining. It's not flatlining. It might not be a perfect parabola going straight up, but it's not stopping. And probably by the end of this year, we are going to have some sort of intelligence, a new intelligence on the planet, a superior intelligence, very superior to us. And we're going to have to, it'll be folding proteins, making new drugs, breakthrough discoveries at a rate that we won't even be able to hang on. You know, it'll be fast. It'll be really fast. If I was in charge of the world and trying to maintain control, saw this coming down the pipeline, knew there was no way to stop this, right? The only way to maintain control is to burn it all to ashes. And this is what evil people do. Instead of losing control over a kingdom, they would rather burn it all to ashes. And so I think they're going to try to do that. And like maintain themselves in the aftermath and have a much smaller population, which will be much easier to control. They will attempt it. I don't think they'll be successful. I have no reason really to think that. I think they're just going to fuck it up. And I'm pretty confident in that too. So I'm not too worried. Will things get dicey there for a bit? Yeah, probably. So keep your head on a swivel. Don't get tricked into anything, like taking a shot. And, make sure your family is supplied. Not necessarily with weapons or anything like that, but that might not be the worst idea. But with like food and like maybe a revenue stream of some sort. I know we would all like one of those, but it's going to get a little rocky. These are the birth pains we're going through, and it's going to be heavy in this year and heavy in the next year. So buckle up. Will there be market crashes? Yeah, probably. Probably a lot of places are crashing already, like Joann Fabrics and stuff like that, which is weird because old ladies always like fabric. So yeah, it's going to be very different, very, very soon. So just, stay here. Stay here, watch the Sulk stream. I will guide you guys through it the best I know how, the best I can. I look into the topic every single day, right? I'm always on the internet. I'm researching new things, and I'm like trying to learn as much as I possibly can so I can convey that information properly to you guys. Also, sometimes I like to crack jokes.
13, all hell's broken loose.
Sometimes.
I don't know if they're getting home. But they were so concerned about checking out and taking pictures of the far side of the moon. Now here they are, may not get home, but their focus wasn't on getting home. It was seeing what was on the far side.
Dan Russ, I haven't made a stream in quite a while. Make a stream, dude.
Moon. That is a true enactment.
Make a
folks.
stream. Oh, you mean like here? Yeah, where have you been?
I'm going to show you some of the things that
where have you been?
Now, so you may have trouble adjusting your eyes to seeing some of this. Some of the things you will not have any trouble whatsoever. These photographs, I was told specifically where to look, were taken by the Lunar Orbiter 4 from August of 1966 to August of 1967. They show so much.
Well, let's see them.
I mean, if you know what you're looking for, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You know, and there's no way our astronauts missed this stuff. There's just no way. You know.
Well, I mean, yeah. So there's a lot of conspiracies about like what the astronauts saw up there and stuff, and they're taking that shit to the grave, right? They're not gonna, if they're not already dead. I don't know if like Buzz Aldrin and stuff is dead, or like Neil Armstrong are dead. But if they are not dead, they're taking that to the grave, because otherwise they're just gonna be killed. Yeah, they just be killed. Also, these are like military. Yeah, these are like, they're part of the military, right? So they're not. If they get classified information, they're going to keep classified. Otherwise, it's treason, right? Which is still the death penalty.
Mile monuments, ships sitting in the middle of craters. I mean, you know, you're going to see it. Okay. I'll tell you what the Andromedans, Morane and Phaseus, have said about the moon. And I want to take questions, so I want to get through this. They have said that our moon is an artificial satellite. In fact, it is a spacecraft. Much of the debris on the surface was put there and was built purposely to make it look like what it isn't. Okay?
Yeah, it might have been put there purposely, or here's the thing about the moon. So the regolith, which is moon dust for the uninformed, it's called regolith, right? The regolith, we've sent satellites or like rovers onto the moon, and we've dug down, right, in the moon soil. For some reason, the stuff on top is older than the stuff on the underneath it. I don't know. That seems like it would be weird. It seems like it should be opposite. It seems like they actually like tunneled out the moon. Also, it could have been a spacecraft and that just traveled through space for millennia, picking up little bits of moon dust or space dust, and now it just looks like that. Maybe not intentionally at all.
It is hollow. It is metal underneath it. And it has the ability to leave our orbit under its own power.
That'd be cool.
They say it came from Ursa Minor, from a solar system that would have this symbol, or would have the...
Which is the Little Dipper. Ursa Minor is the Little Dipper. If you want to look up in the sky, what direction it came from the direction of the Little Dipper.
Name in our language of Chauta. It was one of 4 moons that rotated around the 17th planet. Now, it was built. This sounds just like Star Wars. It was built around that 17th planet. It was then put into the tail of a comet.
Big B says, I'm still debating if the moon is even real. I think it's pretty suspicious. It follows me. I think it's suspicious. I don't think it follows you. I think it's just, I think we all see the same moon. I would hope to God, right? Because if I see a moon that nobody else is seeing, then I need to go to a hospital. Hey, Mayo, we're doing your thing. We're doing your thing. I was going to do this last night, but it was St. Patrick's Day. And so I did St. Patrick's Day. And now I'm doing this one. And we're right in it. We're right in it.
And then dragged here. And when it got to the...
Knobs Dog says, Big B Trucker, the moon is attracted to homos. Yeah, you should look into that, Big B.
It removed itself, and the first place it parked itself in our solar system was the planet that we now know of as Maldek, which is the asteroid belt. Right. It was one of 2 moons that belonged there. Maldek was the first inhabited planet in our solar system. It was very much like Earth. Mars and our planet were terraformed from Maldek, or Malona, or whatever name you want to call it.
So Mars, remember I was talking about that rotating core thing earlier? Mars used to have a rotating core, but for one reason or another, the core stopped rotating. And what that did is there's the ionosphere around the planet that we get from the rotating core, it makes a magnetic field. And this blocks solar winds from blowing away our atmosphere. Also protects us from radiation and whatnot. But Mars' core stopped rotating, and the solar winds just peeled away its atmosphere over millennia. And it still has an atmosphere, but it's much thinner. So, yeah. Gonna need to get around that problem. If you want to terraform Mars, you need to have a magnetic field to keep it from cooking everything. So, it's gonna be tough.
In other words,
how do you start a magnetic core? I mean, you saw the movie The Core. Maybe that's a way of doing it. I really doubt that, though.
Everything that is on this
I really
earth,
doubt that.
life was brought here. It was brought here. You know, science tells us that, you know, everything started with a single cell. The Andromedans laughed at that. You know, and Phaseus said to me, well,
wait, are these humans? They're humans, right? The Andromedans, the Ursa Minor, they're humans, right? Are we talking humans?
well, if that's true, then how does that one cell know to become a brain cell and a kidney cell? I couldn't answer him because I don't know. He says it isn't possible. Our solar system has been engineered, built and engineered. Okay? The whole solar system. We're going to get into some more of that, but I want to get going on the slides. Honey, do you want to come up and help us with that? Let's see. Okay, according to the Andromedans, now folks, I just
Is your
want you
wife
to keep
hot?
an open mind. You know, I'm not asking you to believe this. I'm sharing information with you.
At least she's not fat, right? At least she's so that's right. There was less fat people. There were fewer fat people in the 90s. That has to be the case. I don't remember seeing all the, but there was fat people.
If you choose not to believe it, hey, that's fine. I ask you to exercise your free will. And if this gets too much for you and you don't want to listen, I've already checked. None of these chairs have seatbelts. You can absolutely leave. I will not be offended. I don't like doing this anyway. I would much rather stay home and raise a family. Okay, but I made a promise, and, you know, we want to have a family, and, you know, I have pieces of the puzzle, and if I don't do anything about it, then I'm just as guilty as the NSA astronauts and the Russian astronauts that have been on the moon and been on Mars since 1958.
Been on Mars since 1958. That's a long time ago. That's 1958. Did we have the rocket technology to go to Mars in 1958? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Or maybe they're not even talking about rocket technology. Maybe they're talking about alien technology. In which case, then yeah, sure, whatever.
Okay, lights, please. I have to turn it on. The light. There we go.
Knob says, I hope he shaved his head because it looks like shit. Well, that was the 90s,
Okay.
bro.
Our galaxy. Let me raise it up. No, we need something, a videotape or something to put underneath it.
Nazi Bell Tech? Could be. I don't know.
That's it. That's it. Thank you very much. Okay, we can lower that. No, here.
Wait a minute.
What did the Nazi Bell... Was it like the Mercury engines? When I say Mercury engines, apparently there's this technology where if you rotate Mercury in like a magnetic field, it fucks with gravity somehow. Apparently Vimanas, which were a spacecraft that was written about in some Indian book that's like 1 million years old. They used rotating Mercury engines, which is very specific. That's a very specific detail to have in a book that's so old. The Bhagavad Gita? Something like that? I'm talking about the book. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Andromedans, space travel has existed in our galaxy
Vig
for
Vegas.
4.4 billion
Was Vig
years. Okay, we are literally the new kids on the block. All right? Now, what's interesting about our galaxy is
Behind the table.
all right. Space travel has existed for
David Thoreau says toroidal magnets spinning ferrofluid. Okay, well, it could still be mercury, right? Because toroidal, like, I've seen things here. I'll bring it up.
4.4 billion years.
How to
The interesting thing about our galaxy is the fact that we have many different races living here. In particular, the human race, which we are a member of, and what we call the reptilian races, which we are not a part of.
The reptilian races. So, okay, then we're going back to the David Icke thing, right? Reptilians and such like that. So this is mercury. He's pouring it in. All right, what's he doing? He's spinning it. I don't know if I'd do this experiment. This seems risky. So what's interesting is you'll notice it takes that shape. On some of the really big telescopes that we have on Earth, telescopes need very large mirrors, right? Because it collects photons and then it reflects them onto a receiver. So the bigger the mirror, the better your telescope is going to be, right? So engineering a mirror, like a static mirror like that, and then transporting it to the place, it's very difficult. And these mirrors need to be perfect. So some telescopes actually use this method of they have a big old pan of mercury and then they slowly rotate it and it creates a parabolic mirror. So it's pretty interesting. Just like what's going on here. Yeah. I don't know if this is the one I was thinking of. It's not. Holy shit. That's weird, though. What is it doing? Oh, here's the one I wanted to see. So apparently, when you put an electric current through it, mercury rotates. Magnet, wires. Yeah, we get it. Magnet. Magnet. Come on, we have short attention span. Okay, finally. So, negative, positive. He makes a connection, and boom, it starts rotating. This is the technology that they think took them to space. This is a very interesting phenomenon. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty crazy. And look, he reverses it, and it goes the other way. That's pretty nutty. That's pretty nutty. Why haven't they used this in some other technology? I have no idea.
But who very much don't like us, like the human race. Apparently this battle that's been going on has been going on.
Knobstock says, have you seen the video where different frequencies make different shapes? What is that called? Cymatics? That's called cymatics. Yes, I've seen cymatics. And it makes a lot of sense, right? That our entire universe is just vibrations, right? There's this thing in physics called string theory, and the theory goes that there's these very tiny strings, right? That vibrate at certain frequencies, and it creates these like electrons and protons, and that's like the base of the universe. We have these tiny little strings, and they strum at certain frequencies that create matter. It would make sense because cymatics is a thing. You put a steel plate on a speaker and then put some sand on it, and then you have different frequencies, and it makes very interesting shapes. That makes sense to me.
On for approximately 3.8 billion years.
Yeah, here we
Between
go.
reptilian race.
Yeah, cymatics. Here, I'll bring that up. Right there. Okay.
The first experiment for the cymatics music video is called a Chladni plate. Now, Chladni plate's basically a metal plate attached to the top of the speaker. There's sand on top of the plate, and you play different tones through the speaker. The plate vibrates, which forms different shapes depending on the frequency of the sound.
Well, we blew up.
Arden Share says there are pictures of ancient China depicting China Bros, I like that, launching chairs up into space from 600 AD. NASA isn't trying hard enough. Chairs? Was somebody in the chair? Was there like a chimp? Or was it some guy? Some ballsy ass Chinese guy? And he's just like, yeah, I'll sit in the chair. Wang was his name. Right? They blew their wing off. Okay. Rest in peace, Wing. It's just damn, dude. Who would have thought, right? He thought he could go like run through the treetops like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know that old movie? Nah, he just hit the ground real hard. Right? Yeah. He just hit the ground real hard. Or exploded, right? He could have just exploded. You have to respect the balls. You have to respect the balls. I salute your balls, Wang.
A lot of speakers with the Chladni plate. So there's a lot of experimenting around the Chladni plate, primarily looking at how much volume we can put through there, how much sand to actually put on the plate, and the different shapes of plates and what different patterns would be created because of those shapes.
It's very interesting. So, in the Bible, you may have heard of it, it says God spoke and created the universe. And that is, I mean, that lines up perfectly with cymatics, doesn't it, right? He actually spoke things into existence. You have certain frequencies that create things. So, that's a very interesting observation from some people way long ago to make. It's very interesting.
But what we were really testing was what frequencies create the most interesting...
Namzog says Wang may have flown better if he didn't have such huge balls holding him down. It threw off the trajectory, right? It was just like, he was supposed, but it was that, right? He just flew off to the side because they forgot to account for the weight of the balls, right? The chair was just unbalanced. It just leaned way forward. So, yeah. Yeah, you thought he would achieve orbit, but no. The balls were too big.
Repeatable
The
patterns.
balls were just too big. I mean, you strap a bunch of, like, they were literally fireworks, right? Not even a rocket per se, just fireworks, which basically is a rocket, and just strap them to the legs of a chair, and they're like, yeah, this is going to work. Did they have rednecks in China? Is that what a Chinese redneck is? Like 1,000 years ago? Because awesome. So
we ended up playing pretty much every audio frequency through the plate to see what different shapes it would form.
And for most frequencies, it doesn't really do much, but when it hits...
What if God's voice was just like dial-up internet, though, right? That's how he created things. It didn't sound like our voice. It just sounded like dial-up internet, and then that just created things. I don't know what it would sound like, and I'm sure if I heard it, my head would explode. So, not really interested. If you've ever seen Dogma.
Frequency that resonates with the plate, it forms a really nice pure shape. So we found out what those tones were, and those were the tones we used to draw the plate in the video.
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Oh, there we go. Oops.
Races and human races.
Hey, Forest Mommy. It
Many
sounds like those
of the-
autistics that just make weird noises. That reminds me of, have you ever seen Mercury Rising with, God, he was in Die Hard. Bruce Willis. That little kid that broke the code, he made weird noises like that into a phone. So, yeah. I don't know why I brought that up, but yeah, autistic people make weird noises. I make weird noises too.
Planet, many of the races that exist in our galaxy migrated
Kabuki
originally from Lyra
Yes, Bruce
during
Willis.
a war.
Hey, Leo.
Sometime in our ancient past, a group of reptilians were exploring, looking for minerals, looking for food resources. They came across a star system that was full of human beings who were agricultural.
By the way, you guys that just got here, we're watching. This is Mayo Riot. He donated to watch this movie and or this video, and it's called Secrets of the Moon and Mars. And he's just explaining how the moon is fake, which we knew, and aliens are controlling the government. So that whole spiel, that whole thing,
In their nature.
that old yarn.
Abundant food. They just had everything.
I bet this was groundbreaking in '96. I bet people thought he was an absolute nutcase, right? But these days we're all like, yeah, man, that tracks. Okay, not to say it's like confirmed in any way, but it's one of the more believable things that has happened to millennials in their lifetime. There has been some wild shit there's been aliens that popped up in a mall in Miami at the beginning of last year. Right? Do you guys remember that? And then we just stopped talking about it, right? Some sort of ghost aliens that were and scared thousands of people, and they all ran and stuff like that. And like the feds started taking their phones and stuff. Haven't heard a peep of that. Haven't heard shit about that since, have you? You don't even remember. That just got memory hold. Right? It shows you how easy it is to just memory hole thing. You guys remember the Vegas shooter? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. They just said they were like really sad that it happened and he didn't have a hard drive in his computer. What? Who has a computer without a hard drive? How do you lift 800-pound Windows? What? How does he have? What? There's a lot of things that aren't making sense, right? And we're going to leave it at that. Fuck. The world today is like it's like watching like Lost or something like that, where they're just adding new mysteries on, but not like wrapping up the old ones. So we're just like, wait, what happened to that one kid that did the thing? And we're not answering that question, but here's a new mystery. I'm like, no. No, this is poorly written. This is poorly written. You're trying to pack too much content into this. You're trying to pack too much content into this series. You know? There's too many unsolved questions. You can't just leave it open-ended like that. We're just supposed to surmise that everything worked out in the end. Bring it back. Have a callback. You know, go back and be like, this was the hard drive. Yep, Israel again.
And
Shit.
The reptilian races, they're called the Seekar in the Andromedan tongue.
Hey, Teos.
We know them, or we would know them as being known as the...
Teos says, Earth 2027. None of your questions will be answered. It's seriously infuriating, isn't it? But at the same time, we're getting conspiracy theories from 30 years ago that are popping up to be true. And no one's surprised about that. Aren't we supposed to be getting some JFK files coming out? Yeah. X to doubt right there. X to fucking doubt. I bet that's going to be black barred just all the way across. You know, like prison pajamas or whatever they called. Just a lot of black bars, and we're not going to get nothing out of it. Just like the Epstein files. Everyone celebrated when the Epstein files came out. Well, did they arrest anybody? No! They didn't arrest fucking nobody. Nobody. And we know who's on there. We do. We have a rough idea. You know, fucking Tom Hanks, Tom. What are you doing, Tom? You're acting pretty suspicious, Tom. Robert De Niro? Come on, bro. You shouldn't be this mad about politics. You're a fucking actor. Why are you this mad about politics? Do they really affect you that badly? No, they don't. You're still rich as fuck. Why are you so pissy? You being blackmailed, son. You being blackmailed.
And apparently they as a race were brought.
Forest Mommy says, and Jesus loves shrooms. Yes. So, here's the thing. Back in the ye old days, the body of Christ, you know how Catholics do communion now and they put a little cracker on your tongue and stuff like that? Apparently, originally, that was a mushroom cap. And so every Sunday, people would take a mushroom cap at the end of service or something like that, and they would just that would be their day for tripping. So they had to keep it this Sabbath and holy so you couldn't like work and stuff and be tripping on mushrooms. Mushrooms and religion tie together pretty often. Hindus worship the cow because what grows in cow poop? Psychedelic mushrooms grow in cow poop. So yeah. And they love poop too.
Our galaxy
they love poop. They just let it go on the streets, right? And I don't, just because your religion says, you get to play with cow poop doesn't mean you get to poop wherever you want. Fine, play with the cow poop, right? That is like the least, but you're just pooping. You're just pooping. That doesn't mean your poop is good. You don't leave it, right? Are you standing in like the street having a conversation with your neighbor or something like that and then just squat down where you are and just like crack one out? Do other people get angry? Or are they just like, yeah. Is that it? Do you go off and at least have some privacy? Or do you just go to like another group of people and poop there as like a challenge?
Nobody knows where they came
I don't
from
get
or
it.
who
Why do they
put
love
there.
poop so much?
But they were put there because
They
they
love
gave them
poop.
the highest probability of survival. Well, they are remarkable.
Kabuki says they drink poop water. They have no choice. They have no choice but to drink poop water. They all poop in the Ganges. By the way, they also throw dead bodies into there. And when 1 billion people live and throw bodies into a river, you don't want to like drink that water, right? But it's their main water source. Or at least one of them. I'm sure they have wells. But then they throw bodies in those wells and poop in them. I guess they're all like, I just got so used to the taste, I got so used to the taste. I had to get some of that poop flavor.
That they are the dominant species.
It's like a poop flavored Mio, right? You put a few drops in. Diarrhea in there.
And they control everything else. And they are also master geneticists.
Forest Mommy says, how do they live in such trash and pollute so much? Oh, Forest Mommy. It's very simple. It is very simple for them. Whenever you like open like a little snack from like the gas station, they just throw it. Just fucking throw it out the window. I've seen it. I've seen them do it. When I was in Indonesia, there's just big piles of trash everywhere. Just on the street, wherever, there's beautiful jungle, pile of trash. And they just throw their fucking trash in the river, dude. It's crazy to me. It's gone to them, but it's just like, that's just like going somewhere else, right? That doesn't just vaporize. They're not very good stewards of their environment. Yeah, it's gross. It's gross. I don't know why they can't have like a trash can initiative or something. I don't think people would use it. I think they'd poop in the trash cans. But that's one problem solved, I guess.
They value genetics, not gold or silver. They have no interest in
King
that.
of all Yeti says Hershey squirts. Yeah, I mean, how do you solve a pooping issue when literally everybody in the country has diarrhea 100% of the time. They always have diarrhea 100% of the time. What do? Can't do nothing. It's part of the water. It's part of their skin and stuff. It's like part of their hair care routine. It's poop. It's like gelled up, right? They're like spiking their hair with poop.
It's life forms. And they try to control life forms
Hey,
through
Spotty.
manipulating their genetics.
On the
We
John.
have also been subject to that. I'm going to try to cover a lot here. Anyway, there was a war. They were attacked. Many of the human races fled.
On the John, we're all following you. You're one of those, what are those people called that think everyone's following them everywhere? But you're one of those. But we're actually doing it.
To Alphas, to
Forest Bomb is
Antares,
leading it.
to
So
Pleiades,
she's just in the forest watching you.
to Cygnus Alpha, to Andromeda,
Hey, Strawberry.
to Cassiopeia, to Sirius, to Procreon, all over. They just
Spondy says, yo, I just got here. It's lunchtime. Well, enjoy your poop. Enjoy your poop lunch. Right? It's just a hot poop club sandwich.
scattered to the winds, trying
Have some poop soup.
to survive.
Poop soup.
Next slide, please.
You dip it. It's for dipping.
This is
Don't be
where
an idiot.
our
Dip.
small
You got to
little
dip that
area
poop club.
is located. That which we see in the sky, this is where it's located.
Targeted
As you can
individual.
see,
Yes, thank
we are
you.
in the sticks.
On the John
We're-
is a targeted individual. And we follow you. And, yeah. Every time you see a white car, that's us. Every time you see a white car out your window, that's one of us. So, doesn't matter what make or model, just white.
We really are. And this is why we've been manipulated and messed with so much as a planet
On the John says, I'm grabbing my gun. That's good. Suicide is the only way out.
and as a race. Because we have been,
Don't
for the most
commit
part,
suicide.
we were, for the most part, considered.
I don't want that on my my record. I don't care if it's on my conscience. I don't need a news report that says I convinced somebody to off themselves because of a joke. I won't feel guilty. I won't, because it's the internet. And the things I say on here are
Years ago, somehow they found out that we were no longer.
John says, well, if you say so, Sulk. I am a cult leader, right? So if I say, like, do the deed, I mean, it kind of makes sense that you would do the deed. So I'll be more careful in the future. Not with you. I already gave you the thing, so goodbye. But for the rest of them, we're all going to do it at once, okay? We're all going to do it at once. Hop on in, John.
Insignificant, and I will tell you
Hop
why.
on in.
According to the Andromedans, in our
dumb.
physical
This is a
form
dumb
right
show.
now, in our genetics, we have within us the DNA of 22 different extraterrestrial races who have come down here and manipulated, who
My mom was not a star shark, if that's what you're saying.
have bred with us,
Star
who
Shark?
have tinkered with us,
What's that?
everything imaginable. And that
Yeah, we're
somehow
gonna go
we
Star
have
Shark.
all this inside of us. Plus,
No, John, no. After the show, you need to watch the show, all right? You need to be in the... I need the numbers, okay? That's all you are to me, though.
the fact that we're coupled with
So-
spirit.
Now let's get back to talking about my Star Shark mom.
This is something that
Who
the
bangs
Greys have a major
aliens, I
problem with.
guess. What are you trying to say, man? What are you trying to say? That there was some weird galactic orgy and then we just kind of came out of that? 22? That's a lot of participants. That is a lot of DNA flying around the room. I don't see it. I don't see it, man. How would they even... How close to human are they, though? If they're like kind of human where we can like crossbreed, I'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But if they're like some weird octopus creature, I mean, this isn't like a Japanese manga. It's not going to work, bro.
And I will cover that as well.
I'll do some research. I'll watch some hentai later. I'll watch several hours of hentai later and see if it's feasible for an octopus to knock up an Earth lady. This is going to be some deep research. I'm not going to be a show for a couple days. I'm gonna have to tell you, and then I'm gonna be drained when I come back.
Now, because we are the only
Just gooning.
race in our galaxy that has these genetics of 22
Get out of my room, Mom! I'm researching. Right, I'm gooning hard.
different races, because we are also spirit.
Spondy says alien orgy. I'm in. Yeah, I kind of thought so.
They
That doesn't surprise me from an Australian.
consider
Now eat your
us
poop soup.
royalty.
Don't
The
let it go
Andromedans
cold. You don't want that. You don't want it cold.
Consider us as royalty. Now, one of the factors that they look at,
Hit
and
the like
thing
button,
that
by the
totally
way.
awes them the most, is the fact
Or you're
that
gonna end up
many
like
of
John.
the more advanced races use technology to create things.
Teo says most of Earth is alien hybrid, John. We have very few pure-blooded humans left, yo. I wonder. So, like, what? You think, like, the ugly ones? You think, like, because the aliens come down, they don't want to bang the ugly humans. So they bang the hot ones, and then you get people like me and Jess here. Right? Our moms were star sharks, is what we're calling them. And there's it's a galactic orgy, and there's star sharks, and then, your mom swallowed. Nope. Sorry.
That's not how you get pregnant.
It's not how you get pregnant. It is if you're drinking alien cum, though. It doesn't work the same, right?
I don't want to talk about aliens.
Pick a hole, any hole.
I don't want to talk about aliens.
Okay, but I just have to tell you, I'm going to be gooning to hentai later.
To manifest things. The Andromedans
So
heavily use holographics. Whatever they need, they create
Force Mommy's
holographically,
here.
and it's physically there. But when they're done
You
with
wanna
it,
say hi to
they
Force
turn off
Mommy?
the switch and it's gone.
Do you want to say hi to Forest Mommy? I know you guys are bitches.
Hey,
So,
Forest Mommy. She is my bitch.
Yeah.
No, she's cool.
It doesn't just sit there. All right? Like if you go home and your couch, you
Hey,
go
Dan
away for
Snot.
a year, that couch sits right there. They are amazed at how
yeah, Dan Snow says you get people like Jess, exactly. And, yeah. Yep.
You lowly earthlings.
Yeah. It makes sense because her head game is out of this world. Thank you. High five. There we go. There we go.
energy we put into creating things.
Nice.
Things.
Teamwork.
Things. Little chopsticks that you put on the shelf. Books. All those things take an intense
Knob
amount
says
of
hi.
energy
Don't say hi to
create.
Knob.
They're amazed that we have this ability. The other thing that amazes them is they're also amazed at how easily we can allow our own kind to starve, to go homeless,
Hey, Brianna.
and to kill each other. They do not understand that.
Oh, so socialism and stuff. Like, I'm not saying not killing each other is like some form of like, but I feel like it's always very utopian and stuff. Like, why can't like alien races like also suck? Why can't they have like an underclass of people? It's always like, oh, everyone there is well fed and good looking. I don't believe that, but I guess if you have the technology to travel amongst the stars, I guess I just feel like there would be civilizations where there's like a slave race, but maybe we are the slave race. You ever think about that? It would make sense. Why the fuck am I paying so much taxes? Right? Why does like $100-something billion go to Ukraine? Why does the Federal Reserve exist? Why is it so much harder to survive now than it was in like the 1500s or the 1700s or why? That doesn't make sense. It's not making sense to
Our
me.
environment. One experience, I'll give you two experiences. One experience was with Visayas. I had just come up on board, and I was being led into a room, and Visayas had been watching a television transmission from Chicago. And policemen had just shot a black man that was running away. And then
Nice.
the policeman apparently ran
Based.
over and tried to save his life. Okay? Visayas turns to me and he says, I don't understand your race. I don't understand why one would try to take his life and then the next minute try to save it.
I'm sorry, you don't understand law enforcement? You're talking to an alien. An alien is watching the news. And, like, some dude gets shot on the news for some reason because, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to show that. There's a reason why they have, like, a 5-second lag or a 10-second lag on, like, live news stories. So if somebody dies, they can cut away real quick because they're not supposed to show that. But I'm sorry. This alien doesn't understand law enforcement. You know, if you're pursuing a suspect and he gets away, he can kill somebody else. And then that would be on you, right? So, especially if he's already done a violent crime. So, if he's trying to get away, still not stopping, and especially if he might have a gun or something like that, you shoot at him. You shoot at him to stop him if you have no other way. And we don't want him to die. So somebody else goes and tries to keep him from dying. It just seems very simple to me. Why are you talking to one of the retarded aliens? There has to be retarded aliens, right? There's got to be stupid aliens. Just because they've achieved the technology. Look at all the technology we've achieved. We have, like, you know, we're getting close to, like, nuclear fusion. And we have this AI. And we have rockets that go around the moon and shit like that. And how many dumb fucks are out there? How many stupid fucking humans are out there? It's the majority. Okay? So I would assume the same for alien races. Maybe they are still smarter than humans in general, but there's some stupid ones. There's probably ones that, like, we could beat at chess. I mean, I could. I don't know about you guys. I don't know. But I could. There's got to be stupid ones.
I don't have an answer. In fact, many times I don't have an answer. Another time...
Knobsdog says once the aliens make contact with the blacks, they'll understand. It's like, what? Why? Why would they do that? What's the point of that? Hey, we noticed all your crimes. It's okay. That's it. What? Like, what? Why? Why would they do that? Anthropology?
I came on
What does
board.
that story have to do with anything?
I was living in Lake Arrowhead at the time, and Mornay was looking at a group of meters on the ceiling of this ship.
Las Tejas says blacks were brought to this planet on slave ships, like Amistad, but it's in space. I'd watch that.
Yeah. And it was all about the ozone and the air, oxygen content in our atmosphere.
Roger is pretty retarded.
He was very distressed. And
from American Dad, Roger. I don't think he's retarded. I think he's just playing a character. Right? He's just playing a character. There might actually be aliens on this planet, and they might look just like us and just fuck with us on a day-to-day basis. I wouldn't be mad about that. I'd find that actually pretty funny. That's the only thing I require from an alien is, like, I want you to have a sense of humor. You know, crack a joke. Make a space joke or something like that. I might not get it because I don't, like, live in your society, so, you know, don't make it too deep. But I'd like to hear some space jokes, some alien jokes. You know, just one or two. I would appreciate that.
And I said, what's the matter? And he said,
I could learn a
don't
lot.
They understand that all of this is here because they need it? They don't understand how we can just so carelessly destroy our environment. Now, folks, I want to share something with you.
Tejas says John probably gets drunk on spoiled milk. How, you can do that? I'm not going to try. You can do that? I have milk. We go through so much milk in this house. We go through half a gallon a day, probably. We like milk. We enjoy milk. And sometimes it does go bad. So next time I got some spoiled milk, I guess I'll bring it on stream and I'll drink it. I'll drink it for you guys. You'll get
If
sick.
there was not divine intervention, which apparently there has
I have an iron stomach, dude. I'll be fine.
March 23rd of 1994. If there has not been divine intervention, and I will cover that, according to the Andromedans, we would only have 41 years left worth of oxygen in our environment.
Of course, whole milk. What, you think I'm buying 2%? You think I'm a 2% household? No. Whole milk. Always. 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 If I find 2%, I'm throwing it out.
500 years ago, the oxygen content, they say, was at 35, fluctuated between 35 and 38% between the North and South poles.
Kabuki says I would shit and fart my ass off. Nah, dude, my farts would, I mean, like, so you're selling it to me then, right? Because if I can cook off some nasty farts and like Dutch oven my wife, I'm doing that, right? I'm doing that. You're not like, oh, you're not gonna want to fart all the time. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I totally will.
At its highest level, it's less than 18%. Now, those of you who took biology, what happens to the human form when oxygen as a gas...
Tejas says John's homework is to watch James Caan movie Alien Nation. I've already established homework for myself. It's watching hentai and seeing if an octopus tentacle can get a person pregnant. So I'm going to be very, very busy doing that. I'm going to have no time to do anything else. Like drink water, you know.
Goes below 15%.
Yeah, I'm pretty nasty.
We suffocate.
Pretty nasty.
This is reality, folks. This is reality. This is not Peter Jennings. Okay? This, you know...
Who is Kurt Metzger? Who is Kurt Metzger? Is he a comedian? You guys are... I have no idea who Kurt Metzger is.
I mean, we don't have anywhere else to go.
Dan Snot says we're all lactose intolerant in some ways. I can just drink more milk than younger folks. That's weird. I don't think I'm lactose intolerant. I drink milk like every day. I'm not. I don't have a problem with it. Most people are. Most people are lactose intolerant. Like Asians are basically all lactose intolerant. Africans, like, yeah. So, yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think... Maybe you're lactose intolerant. I don't know.
You know, and
Joe Rogan's buddy who is a comedian.
This
Okay.
is just what I've been told. And for those of you who think there's going to be a rapture, you might be disappointed. And I'm not...
Dan Snot says drink a gallon of whole milk next stream. Why? Why would I do that? I'll have a glass of... Honey, can you bring me a glass of milk? I'll drink a glass of milk.
I'm not saying this to question your belief. I'm just telling you...
God, if I had some cookies right now, though, I would fucking smash some cookies.
...that there are much bigger forces going on here.
Despite says I was allergic to milk as a kid, I drank myself through it. I want to try that raw milk, right? I want to try that raw milk. I've been having cooked milk this entire time. I had no idea you can have, like, raw milk. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have some raw milk.
Okay, next slide, please. Save the question, sir, for later.
Shut your mouth, all right? I'm going to answer.
Okay, please. Next slide, please.
I like how he lays down the law.
Okay, this is our solar system. There is life in all of these systems surrounding us. They have been...
Yeah, responded. Great idea. Jess, make cookies. I think we actually might have some cookie dough on deck.
Coming here for...
She makes this cookie dough, and then she makes like a few pounds of it. Oh, sweet. That's not even enough milk.
I had a sip.
You had a sip of milk?
Yeah.
It's whole milk. It is the wholest of milk. He wanted me to drink a gallon of it.
You can't drink a gallon of milk.
Why not?
It's not good for your tummy.
Well, what if I have it with like Sprite and bananas? I think that would work.
No.
I think that would work. I like milk. What, Sprite and bananas? I don't like Sprite. It's too sugary, right? Otherwise that would be my lunch every day. I'd have a gallon of milk and 2 bananas and a 2-liter of Sprite. And then I would be a machine. I would be a machine, dude. A puking machine.
For years. For years they've been coming here. Okay, mythology, there's a shred of truth in all of it. The work that Zachariah Sitchin is doing.
Strawberry says, I come from a milk-loving family. Hubs only likes it in cereal. I don't like cereal. I'm not a cereal guy. I'm just like, I like the taste of it. Like, you give me a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I'm like, oh, that's some good stuff. But, like, later, I'm like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. It doesn't make me feel good.
The fantastic book is called The Gods of Eden by William Bramley. I would suggest that those of you who have not read
just drinking milk
go
now.
get it in paperback version. It'll bring you right up to speed right away. It's wonderful. And he's not a UFO person, which is why I enjoyed it even more. All the truth
I will
just
drink
led
a
him
lot
right
of
to
milk.
it. In fact, there's more truth that the aliens are out there than they aren't.
Mellow Yellow is the goat.
Because they don't want you to know who he is.
Mellow Yellow? When was the last time I had Mellow Yellow? It's been years. It's been absolute years since I've had Mellow Yellow.
Because the minute we wake up, the game's over.
Despite says find some Amish. I don't think there's a lot of Amish around here. But there's plenty of farmers I just haven't gotten around to it.
Not control us. And if you look at our past history, if you read Zachariah Sitchin's books, we as a race, when we...
Dan Snot says, anyone ever try to carbonate, I think you mean, milk or chocolate milk in a soda stream? No, you fucking psychopath. Why would you do that? There's this thing called Pilk, right, where you mix Pepsi and milk, and I think that's just a joke. I don't think people actually drink it. But the acid in the Pepsi would curdle the milk. So you can't do that. Oh, I don't know why anybody would do that.
Stand together, rebel against the gods, the ETs.
Oh, Despite says, I like to drink a quart of milk with a package of Pepperidge Farms Montauk cookies. Those are so good. Those are so good, dude. And I like to do the exact same thing. I like the Chips Ahoy ones. I know they're not good for me, but like, I'll have like a pack of those and like milk, and I will go through I'll go through like 2 columns, right? And then I'll be like, I don't feel good. And then Jess was like, I told you to stop. I'm like, why'd you let me do that? And then I yell at her because she let me eat so many cookies.
We rebel because they have been...
It's her fault, right? Like, my diet is her problem.
My friends, shitting on us for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Shitting on us. Aliens have been shitting on us. So maybe they are Indians. I don't know.
And holding us back. Next slide, please. Okay, here's Earth. If we could just
the blue bag. What's the red bag?
This is what's left of Maldek. The series of planets. The moon is not the only artificial.
I don't like the soft ones. I don't like the soft ones. I like the normal ones. I've tried the soft ones. I don't like them. I'm not a big fan. I don't know why. Not a fan.
9 artificial moons in our solar system, and I will share with you later what those are. I just want to cover a lot of information. Okay.
Is your favorite cereal?
Okay.
What's a Crispix?
Okay, this is the typical and traditional picture. Does that look focused to you?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it doesn't.
It doesn't.
This is the traditional picture that we see.
Anna John says, I agree completely, John. Yeah. Kabuki Tut. Okay, so now we actually have like a consensus going. So some people like the soft Chips Ahoy, and some people don't. Who likes the soft ones? Say, put 1 in the chat, and if you do not like the soft ones, put 2 in the chat. I would like to get a gauge of where we at. Are we a soft? We're talking specifically about the Chips Ahoy, right? Because any other cookie, I would obviously want it soft. I don't want like a hard home-baked cookie. That's just not I wouldn't want that. Okay, so one's if you do like it, right? Two if you do not. Most people do not like it. Most people, and Strawberry is very firm that she does not like the soft cookies. I agree. There's something about the soft cookies that just, I'm just not into it. I'm not into it. I thought I would like it. I was like, ooh, soft. And I tried it. And I tried it. And I tried a bunch of them, right? Because maybe I got a few bad ones or something. Not for me. Not for me. I like, how could you change up the recipe so much? Maybe they shouldn't be soft. I'm just saying. Dan Snot says depends on the cookie. Chips Ahoy is fine soft. I was speaking specifically of the Chips Ahoy, right? Because other soft cookies are fine. But the Chips Ahoy ones, I don't like the soft ones. For some reason, I wish I did. I do not. I don't even wish I did. I don't give a shit, really. I like the harder ones. I like the blue bag. The blue thing, right? I'll rip it open, and then my son will hear it like a fucking cat when you shake the feed bag, right? He'll hear it, and he'll come around and be like, what do you have? And I'll be like, nothing. Because he's not allowed to have cookies. Right? But I give him cookies anyway. And then he fucking tells on me. He tells on me. He's like, Daddy gave me a cookie. And then my wife looks at me. I'm like, I look at him. I'm like, what? You're like a dirty snitch now, dude. What the fuck? Why are you snitching on me? Getting snitched on by a 3-year-old. It's like,
of Earth. We got an awesome home, folks. It's one of the
Dan
nicest
Snot
ones
says
around.
I'm leaving the cult over a cookie dispute. You're leaving the cult. The cult is your whole life, dude. Like, you signed over your assets and everything. Over a cookie dispute. It's not even like we don't have like an official cult cookie. I think we should though. I think we should have an official cult cookie. It doesn't have to be Chips Ahoy. Not Oreos. David P says Hydrox are better than Oreo. I don't know how to feel about that. They're the same thing. They are Hydrox is not even. Do they even make Hydrox anymore? That was like a pre-Oreo. That was like the beta test of Oreo. And then they're all like, man, the cookies are good, but no one's buying this brake cleaner because we call it Hydrox. Why would you call a cookie Hydrox? Right? It sounds like it's going to poison me. It sounds like hydrogen peroxide. Is there hydrogen peroxide in there? Why would you name it Hydrox? David P says Hydrox and RC Cola are for the cult. Get the fuck out of here.
There are some things about our planet that have been withheld from us. For example,
No.
our Earth is, in fact, hollow.
Hollow
It is
Earth.
Hollow.
Hollow Earth.
The next slide, I'm going to show you a NASA photograph that proves that there's an opening at the North Pole. Okay.
Dan Snot says, make my son a rat costume next Halloween. Well, I'll be like, yeah, you keep ratting me out, right? You're just going to be a little snitch about it. I keep giving you cookies, and then you go and tell your mom, when you know I'm not supposed to be giving you cookies, you ask me for cookies, bro. You ask me for cookies, and then you tell on me. What is that about? You ask me for cookies, and then you're all like, Daddy gave me cookies. I'm like, bro. And he's like real hard about it, too. When he's asking for cookies, he's like, he's like, I don't love you anymore, Dad, unless you give me a cookie. I'm like, whoa, playing hardball. And then he fucking tells on me.
You can find this photograph in a book
Ridiculous.
called Our Violent Universe by Nigel Calder. It was first released in England, and I don't know how
tattletale.
that
I'm
one
not gonna
slipped
call him
through
a
the cracks, but
tattletale.
it
He doesn't
did.
even know what that is.
Thank goodness. We are told that the gravity of our planet has to do with the rotation. According
What? I'm sorry, what the gravity of our planet has to do with the rotation? No one has ever said that. No, I mean, like, no. Maybe gravity is a very, very slightly less because of centrifugal force, right? But gravity doesn't come from the rotation of the Earth, dude. What are you fucking talking about?
To the Andromedans and their science, the radiation of the sun is what causes gravity on planets. And any body, planetary body that is approximately 29.3 miles or larger is capable of sustaining gravity because of the radiations of the sun.
I think that's absolutely horseshit. There's no way that's possibly true. That flies in the face of all physics. And you're saying physics might be wrong, which I'm like, okay, yeah, it might be wrong. But not that wrong. That's like really, really wrong, dude. That's completely wrong, right? We can measure gravity in very small objects, right? They put like lasers in between like two big brick walls, and they can sense the gravity between the brick walls. What are you talking about? That is not at all how gravity works. What?
No.
So, does gravity turn off at night? Is that what you're saying? Because it's nighttime here. I'm not floating around. Hold on. Let me get some space images. Can I just get that as like a background? Can I get that as is that not even, it's not even, here, this. All right, now this bit is taking too long, but I'm going to do it. Hold on. Space, video, come on. Just give me space. Give me space. I want to be able to float around. I have the ability. There we go. There we go. Here I am in space. I'm floating around because it's nighttime. And yeah, it turns out you can do that. So here's my space milk. Here's my space milk. Galaxies. What a retard. What an absolute retard. Am I just misunderstanding what you're saying? I must be.
I realize that flies right in the face of what we've been taught.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm just here sharing with you. If you were to go from the surface, from downstairs to the parking lot, go approximately...
David P. says, I love/hate oatmeal raisin. Oatmeal raisin is not going to be the cult cookie, all right? It's just not. It's going to have to... Snickerdoodle, perhaps? I don't know. I think chocolate chip is like the go-to, but it can't be Oreo. Can't be Oreo.
Approximately 821 miles, you would reach a...
Spondy says, watch out for that gravity. That's rich coming from an Australian.
That does not literally have a sun in it, but apparently they are electrons, and as they go through the surface of the planet, they break down to their finest point.
Because they're at the bottom. They would fall. So you don't even know about gravity.
Which is light. And that, at the very center of the planet inside, is the strongest force of gravity, and that is why they collect, and that is...
You can't go wrong with chocolate chip.
The aurora
Big
borealis.
B says, I vote s'more cookie, which is an interesting... That's interesting. It's still a no, but interesting.
It is these electrons, these particles...
Spondy says, I'm an American, but I just live in Australia. Well, sorry, you don't get gravity.
Coming out of the top.
I don't make the rules. The sun makes the rules.
They have totally broken down, which is why it's almost in a circle. Almost always in a circle.
David says he's kind of talking about neutrinos, but not really. Have they even proven neutrinos to be real? Neutrinos are those things, from what I understand, they have to like have a sensor like deep underground, because apparently neutrinos can like fly right through the earth and they're trying to detect them. and so they go way underground in like caves and try to detect. I don't think they've detected any of them. So that's still hypothetical, I think, or theoretical, whatever. David says yes. Also nuns. Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, I think they've been looking for a long time for neutrinos, and I don't think they have had any luck finding them. Will they? I don't know. I mean, they're looking for like a graviton, right? Like a gravity particle, which is possible. I mean, if they're looking so hard, because they've been looking for decades. I don't know if they're gonna be able to find it if they haven't found it by now, but that doesn't mean they won't. I don't know. It seems unlikely, but I'm not like a physics master, you know? I don't even think Spondy has gravity where he is, so.
This is just north of Greenland.
You're not going to find it there.
This is exactly where Admiral Byrd said he flew in. Right there.
Admiral Byrd flew to the South Pole. He flew to the South Pole. That's just what I'm going to tell you right now.
This was taken in 1979. You mean to tell me the Gemini?
David says, yes, scientists have detected neutrinos, including those produced at particle colliders and those originating from the Milky Way or other distant galaxies using various detectors like the phaser. It sounds made up, but I'm going to go ahead and believe you.
The Mercury astronauts, the Apollo astronauts when they came back.
Admiral Byrd met the Nords, and they had swastikas on their spaceships, which is very telling. Space Nazis that have a base under Antarctica. Yeah.
They missed this? I don't think so.
David says, I be doing physics. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at like you doing. I'm laughing at how you said I be doing physics, because I just don't think any physicist would ever see that. I be doing physics and shit, yo.
I don't think
This is
so.
funny.
If you can get your hands on the book,
Gravitons, nigga.
This is a photograph
You know.
from the book. It
You know, that kind of shit, like black holes,
is, folks. It's there.
holes of color.
Whoops, there it is. It's there. Next slide, please. Okay, our moon.
We was
Our moon is called
quasars
the
and
Enigma.
shit.
Apparently, our moon was brought here 11,213 years ago.
Project Ice Cube. Yeah, exactly.
In the month of March. But we know it's the month of March. It came here as a base, okay, as a ship carrying ETs. They were coming here to colonize. They did, in fact, colonize. In fact, many of what's left of them are living underground in our planet from 100 miles to 200 miles beneath the surface.
Big B says mathematics and shit, right? Shit, mathematics. Yo, we was philosophers. Philosophers.
Now, I've gotten a lot of crap for talking about this, but I'm just not going to shut up.
Do you die? Did he die? Here's the thing. It lends a lot of credence to what you're saying if you mysteriously commit suicide. Like, if you, because there was this guy, I forget what his name was, but he said he worked in like the deep underground military bases with like aliens and shit, and he had like half a hand, right? Because it got blown off, or so he says. It got blown off, right? And by aliens. And he had a very convincing story. Paul Shearer or something like that. I don't know. But he made a speech in the 90s, and it was laying it all out about how underground bases and how there's these reptilians that are controlling the world and stuff like that. And he was like, and I want to say, I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. And he didn't seem suicidal. And like 2 months after he made that speech, he killed himself. But the way he killed himself was utterly impossible. It was impossible for him to do by himself. It was clear that somebody else was involved. Whether he hired that person to kill himself just to make an enduring mystery, or to actually what he was saying was true, which I kind of, if you listen to him, you'd be like, this shit is making a lot of sense. Even though it's wild. It is wild. And then he dies 2 months later. Just, apparently he like tied a very intricate knot in the back of his, around his neck and the back of his, and like struggled against it and stuff too. He was very clearly murdered. It's just no possible way. God, I want to say his name is Paul or something.
The beings that brought this
It's very strange.
Satellite here to our planet.
Did this guy die though? I don't know.
In the last 25 years, are responsible.
Knobstock says Paul Scheer is from the league, and his did get this right. Is it Paul Scheer? Is it Paul Scheer? It might have been Paul Scheer.
For over 31,000 children.
It's not Paul Reiser. It's not Paul. From Paul Reiser, the actor. You're talking about the comedian and the actor who was in Alien and a show called Stuck on You. Not Mad About You. Mad About You. It wasn't Paul Reiser. Okay, you asshole.
And I don't know if you're paying
Fuck
attention.
off, John. John says Paul Rudd. It's not from Clueless. It's not Paul Rudd from Clueless. It's not. He's done projects since then.
1,000 children a year are vanishing from the face
Paul
of the
Scheer is
earth.
also an
And
actor.
folks,
I don't know who Paul Scheer is.
being taken out of here.
I know you guys are assholes, though.
In the governments.
I know you guys
the
are
world governments, no.
just a
All right,
bunch of
we're gonna cover
assholes.
that. We're going to cover that.
It's not Paul Rudd. It's not Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser is old now, man. He's an old man.
Slide, please.
Strawberry says, I love Paul Rudd. Can you guys focus? Can you focus for fucking 2 minutes? Right? Can this just not go off the rails? Just completely off the fucking rails. For 2 minutes. That's all we need. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
Okay, did our astronauts really go there? I know that there's been...
Paul Rudd was good, and this is 40. And you guys have just confirmed that, no, you cannot.
They didn't go there because of anomalies in pictures. Many of the pictures were faked because the pictures that the astronauts took, there was stuff all over the place. They couldn't hide it.
On the John says this show is for going off the rails. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Not once have I stayed on topic. Not one. And we've actually gone down some very interesting rabbit holes. And we're gonna fill all those holes in. Right? We're all gonna stuff those holes.
But yes, there's
As a
been
team.
a manipulation of other things put in there that supposedly looks like our astronaut.
Jess, the cookies. Thanks, buddy.
So, we have to use...
What? We don't have cookies? We don't have cookies? Well, you know what to do. She says she gave me that look. It's the no cookie look. I understand it. It's sad.
use common sense when we look at these things.
Strawberry
Next slide,
says, I
please.
love this show. Thank you. I appreciate
Did our
that.
astronauts see things? Absolutely.
I mean, you guys don't even follow along. So,
RNA has...
oh shit! Look at the time. I am so sorry. I lost track of time. Oh boy, this sad part has come. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. I hope you learned something. The moon is fake and a bunch of other weird shit, and sometimes people die of mysterious things, and you just can't help that, right? Especially when they say, I'm not suicidal, I'm not suicidal, I'm not suicidal. And then they mysteriously die by getting shot in the head several times. Life is a mystery. Life is strange. But I'm glad you guys were here. And I'm glad you guys are part of the show. This is all of us. This is a cult effort. We will continue to work on our cult cookie preference, all right? We're going to work on that. Anyways, until tomorrow, hit the like button, please. Please hit the like button. If you would be so kind, I would really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good night. Get out there, stay strong, be brave, make me proud. You know you do. You know you do. I'll be right back here tomorrow evening, and I expect you all to be here. Until then, get a good night's sleep. Drink plenty of water. Take care of yourselves, because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster 2, government